So when you're painting a portrait,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody has hair, but most of us
True.
have hair. And there are some people who are incredible at painting hair. And one of them is Kelly Eddington. And Kelly is going to show you how to paint hair today. And look at some of the work that she does. She's incredible. Kelly, are these self-portraits?
Yeah, I did a series the last couple of years.
Pretty incredible. So
Thank
what are we
you.
going to learn today? You're going to do this in watercolor?
Yeah, yeah. My hair, I think, is the most difficult hair I've ever painted. It's dark, curly. It's got some frizz, maybe a little shine here and there, but it's the place where light goes to die, as my friend PJ once told me. So it's difficult hair and really difficult with watercolor. I'm going to show you how I do it.
Okay, well, we'll get right to it. Why don't you go ahead and
Okay.
get your studio set up, and we'll be right back with you.
All right.
Our guest today is Kelly Eddington, and she is going to be teaching you how to paint hair. And again, let me show you some of the work that she's done. Absolutely incredible. And to be able to get that sense of light and that sense of dark and that sense of sparkle, pretty incredible. So we're going to learn about that today. So you want to hang around and make sure you're part of this. And I think she's ready. Let's go right to it. Are you ready? You are ready.
I think so. Am I right side up here?
Yeah, you are. I think so. Well,
Okay.
we'll find out.
Super.
Put your hand in there and we'll find
Here's
out.
the top. Here's the bottom. Top, bottom.
We're not seeing it. You're frozen up a little bit for some reason.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, let's put your hand in there right now and see if it picks it up.
Okay,
It's
hands in
not.
there.
Okay, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to
Okay.
sign off, come back in, and hopefully it'll work, and I'll stall in the meantime. Okay, well, this is Art School Live, and I'm Eric Rhodes, and we're here every weekday at 12 noon. And weekdays are when you get Mondays, you get Art Marketing Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you get art demos from various artists around the world. Fridays, you get Feedback Fridays. And we have been here every day since COVID. Every weekday since COVID, and we started the first 7 months. We did 7 days a week, if you can believe it. Anyway, today we're going to be teaching you how to paint hair, and our guest is Kelly Eddington. Okay, we're going to try this one more time and see if it's going to work. Kelly, are you there?
I think I am. Yeah.
Okay,
can you see what I'm doing
it.
here?
Let's try it. It looks like I'm seeing movement.
Okay. You have a hand.
Yeah, we need to see the top of the paper a little bit more.
Okay.
All right, bring it down a little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, how about that?
Well, we can't see the top. Bring it down, lower, bring it lower, bring it lower.
Okay.
There we go. Good. Now we can see the whole thing.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it looks different in my viewer.
I'm sure it does.
I'll take your word for it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Take it away, Kelly.
All right. Well, my hair, like I said, is very difficult, and I take a long time to paint it. I'm not one of those artists that can just produce a head of hair in 25 minutes. So what you'll see today will be a demo where I'm going to kind of move fast and have some different sections. And it'll be kind of like a cooking show where they say like, well, this is what it's going to look like when it's done baking, and then move on to a next part. So the first part that I wanted to do is masking fluid. And masking fluid really is my friend when it comes to painting hair. I use normally an awl, which is like a little pointed instrument that I got at a hardware store for tiny bits of hair. But I've enlarged this image quite a bit. This chunk in real life was 3 inches by 3 inches, and I've put it up to 9 by 9. So I'm going to use, as an applicator, the tool that came with the masking fluid. And if you've never used masking fluid before, it's a way to protect your whites when you paint. I'm going to go over everything on here that I want to stay white. I'm going to put my glasses on. All right. So it's basically like this. I go pretty slowly with it. This is me kind of speeding. And I'm not going to show you all of this, but
Kelly,
basically
is there any
anything
chance
that,
we can get that camera closer or zoom it in or something? Because
I
we're
will
not really able
try.
to see anything.
Okay, is that better?
It's better, but it's not good enough.
Okay.
Let's try it see if we can get it. Can you get it any closer?
It's basically a foot away from
Okay.
my image.
All right.
Foot and a
Well, let's
half.
do the best we can. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So anyway, with this tool, I'm just kind of drawing it on. Hair can be sort of rough and shiny and have a texture to it, and this masking fluid will too. All right. There are certain places, there's like a big central sweep of a curl that is pretty light that I'm going to sort of highlight and outline. And down low, there's sort of a volcano type shape that I'm going to highlight too. This entire process would probably take me, I don't know, a half hour. So I will spare you that, but just know that everything that is light or a slightly different color, I would cover with masking fluid. And this is what I'd end up with, something like this, which I hope you can see. And I can finally start to paint pretty quickly after this part. This is completely dry. I really give it plenty of time to do that. And now I'm going to do a pass of wet into wet over the top of this. A couple of places I won't put paint here and this curl in the center. Everywhere else is going to get a mix of color that I'm going to work on right now. So the main colors that I'm using today, pretty basic. Sepia right here, Mars black, yellow ochre, and this is cobalt blue. In the picture, there's sort of a cool passage in the top left corner, a little bit down here in the lower left.
Hey, Kelly.
Top left. Yes.
Hey, Kelly.
Yes.
You know, we're getting a lot of complaints in the chat that nobody can
Okay.
see anything. It's out of focus and
Oh
it's
my
fuzzy.
gosh.
So here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Right? I know your husband is there helping you out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take you off camera. I want you to go reset your internet and then come back on as soon as you possibly can, because otherwise nobody can see anything.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
No, I'm not beating up on you. So hang in there and just go ahead and do that right now. And then we'll talk about some other things in the meantime. Okay. My apologies. We don't want to do that to you, but we want it to be good. All right, here we are. Our guest today is Kelly Eddington, and she's talking about hair. And of course, we're going to hopefully get to the point where we can see what's going on here with the hair. And so you can see it. She laid down some masking fluid. And then when she pulls that up, you'll be able to see the hair revealed when she paints over it. She's doing it in watercolor. Let me tell you about a couple of things that are happening. First off, we have an event tomorrow. And tomorrow is with 𝗤𝗶𝗆𝗆, one of the greatest watercolor artists on earth. And he's legendary. And we're going to do a thing with him. It's 10 essential steps to creating your best watercolor paintings yet. He's going to talk to you about things that you need to do to make great watercolor paintings. This is not a demo. He might demo a little, but this is not a demo. This is stuff that you need to learn. And it's free for you. And it's from 1 p.m. Eastern until, well, it's probably going to last about an hour, hour and a half. I'll be hosting it. And so you want to make sure that you see that. And that is at streamlinedartevents.com/Schaller. I'm going to repeat that, streamlineartevents.com/Schaller. Okay. So also we have a free gift for you guys. Let's pull that up so that you can see your free gift for today. Today's gift is from American Watercolor newsletter, and it's an ebook called Watercolor Mastery, and you can get yours at americanwatercolor.net/ebook. All right. Now, if you want to subscribe to this program, we'd love to have you do that. We have had now 16,600,000 views, but we don't have a lot of subscribers yet. We were only 130,000 or something. So we would like to have all 16 million of you subscribe. Wouldn't that be fun? Anyway, you can do that by going to YouTube and looking up Art School Live and hitting the subscribe button. If you get that little bell, that little notification bell, that means that you will get notified when we go live. Now, we put this out on all different platforms as well, so you might be watching it on other things, but please also give me a follow on your platform at Eric Rhodes. There's no E in Rhodes, okay? RHOADS. We have Kelly back. Let's see how we're doing here. Kelly, let's see how it looks.
Hi, how are we?
Well, we're still fuzzy.
We're still fuzzy. I don't know how to change that for you guys. Is that better?
Did you reboot your internet?
Yes.
You rebooted your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our speed test is fast.
Okay. Well, there's a problem somewhere along the lines. Okay, well, let's just try to get through it.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. It's not your fault.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe with some paint on here, we'll be able to see better, because it looks very clear from my camera anyway. All right, we've got masking
the camera's
fluid
not the issue. The internet is the issue.
The internet is the issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So the image is fuzzy. You're saying?
Everything is fuzzy.
My gosh. Yeah, it was fine yesterday. Should I just go ahead and start?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can do at this point. So yeah, go ahead and start.
Okay. So basically, I'm doing kind of cool colors and grays in the upper left part of the painting, and I can be pretty loose with this. This is about as loose as I get. And this watercolor brand that I use, I don't know about everybody else's, but it seems like it dries a shade or two lighter than when I'm actually, lighter than what seems to happen right now. Okay. So I'm just letting it do its watercolor thing here. And I hope you can see how those colors play nicely together. I'm going to use a little yellow ochre mixed with sepia for this sort of swoopy part of the curl. Go back into the shadow area with a little bit more blues, blacks, browns. Really love to use Mars black for my darks. It granulates in kind of a neat way. And you can really see, I hope, where the highlights are in the masking fluid at this point. I think hair can be very confusing when it's complicated like this, and it's sort of hard to know where you are sometimes.
I never know where I am.
Well, I am in Northeast Missouri. I'm looking out at the woods, and it's a really beautiful morning. So I would let this dry. I would go have lunch maybe and come back to it when it's super dry. This is basically what I do to start off hair, at least dark hair like mine. All right, so let's say I've had lunch, I come back, and it is much drier, and painting is flat maybe, hopefully by now, and it doesn't feel cold anymore, if you know what I mean. And now, next, I'm going to get maybe a smaller brush and start putting in the
Kelly,
darkest parts. Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. I want to try one other thing, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Is your cameraman there?
Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jeff, try switching it. Make sure it's on, the phone is on Wi-Fi and cellular is off, and see if
Wi-Fi
that
is on,
improves it,
cellular
because
is off.
sometimes it'll switch to cellular.
Okay.
And if that's not the case, then try putting it on cellular and turning the Wi-Fi off and see if that makes a difference, because we need to make sure that we get as good a signal as possible, because we don't want to ruin
Okay.
this for you. All right, so we're trying this right now. Well, hopefully they'll come back. and if not, you know, we'll keep going. You can see a little bit of the contrast when it's going on. You guys go into the comments and say hello. I'd like to see where you're watching from. It's always nice to see people from all over the world watching, and tell us what's going on in your world and what you're doing for Thanksgiving. Here, let's see if this makes a difference. Let's see here. It's better already.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to get it to tilt to the side.
Oh, what a big difference. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I had the same idea.
Okay. Jeff's saying he had the same idea.
Good idea,
right.
Jeff. All right. So which was it? What was the problem?
It was Wi-Fi versus cellular signal.
Okay.
And
So what are you on now?
we are on Wi-Fi now.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay. I'm so sorry.
that's a good
about that,
tip for
everybody.
us. Okay, Kelly, why don't you just real quickly pull up what you did at the beginning, so they can see you putting some of that resist down. And then, okay, that you don't have to do much of it, but just kind of start over. That'll help everybody.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Living out in the woods, you have no idea how bad the cell phone coverage is here. We should.
Yeah, we do. We have an idea now.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to walk outside to get good signals for our phones.
Okay, so just go ahead and start as if you're starting the demo over right now, and then we'll edit this for the rebroadcast.
Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, so masking fluid. This is a way to protect the white.
We can't see it at the top of the page, so come down to the middle of the page. There we go.
Okay. Let's see, it's an easy way to protect the whites of your painting. And I know with hair, it's like if you lose that highlight, it's just sort of like a wall of blackness or dark brown or something. You need to have some dimension. So to make like little frizz, to make highlights, this is what I put down anywhere in the painting that I know is not going to be dark, or anywhere that it's going to be a different kind of color for some reason. All right, so I just sort of draw it on. This is just hair. I have to constantly remind myself that what we're working with is hair. Who's going to know if I mess up a piece of frizz? But I want to get it kind of close if I can.
What are you using? What are you dipping it? You're using masking fluid. What are you dipping it in? What are you using, a brush?
This is like the little applicator that came with the masking fluid.
Okay.
And it's kind of gross. I'm not a fan of it. Most of the time I'm using this instead. It's an awl that I got at a hardware store with a very pointy little end here. And sometimes I'll just use the like plastic end that's on it, and that helps me sort of put it on. So I would go over the entirety of this. Every time I wanted a highlight, I would put that on there. And using. Let's see, I've already painted over a little bit of the masking fluid with some wet into wet. This is where all the masking fluid pops up. You can see where the highlights are going to be. And I've simply painted over this with some browns and some blues and a little bit of Mars black to get kind of just a mid-tone going on this. All right. Let's see, I'll add a little bit more to it so you can just kind of see how loose I'm working here.
Okay, Loretta in the chat says, if I use masking fluid, I use a stylist, like for leather, or pointy dental floss picks.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I've never heard of that before. Yeah, really, this has been my tool of choice for about, I don't know, 15 years. I only use these big tools when I'm doing large areas of masking fluid. The original painting, this section was 3 inches by 3 inches, and so this worked great for it, but I bumped it up to 9 by 9, and it just is a lot faster using these kind of cruddy little applicator tools that, you know, look like they cost about 25 cents. Okay, so I've done a wet into wet layer over that. It really needs enough time to dry. If I were working on painting with a lot of other things going on, I'd just move to another section while this dries, or I'd take a walk, have some lunch, whatever, and come back to it with it dry. Okay, so is this all right in the frame here?
Yeah, you can lower it down a little.
Okay.
A little more. There we go.
Okay.
Got it all.
Super. So I'm going to now do the darkest parts. Normally with a watercolor painting, you kind of want to have a slow buildup of glazes. So like maybe the next glaze would be a little bit darker and then a little bit darker after that. But with hair, I find it confusing to the point where I just need to know where I am on the page, what's going on. So I'm going to kind of ignore that watercolor rule that says, yeah, you need to just do light stuff. I'm going to do dark stuff. And this is sort of a mixture of Mars black and sepia, which is like a real dark brown. All right, and up we go. This, I think, is the hardest part of the painting. And I'm just constantly looking at my reference photo and trying to find, you know, where those dark shadows are in the hair. And sometimes I'll do like a little negative painting. Like I know there's a little chunk here. I know there's a little like cutout type area here, just where I see the darkness. This paint does dry a shade or two lighter. So I may go over this a second time. Really, it's almost like I'm just doing an abstract expressionist painting at times, what I'm doing here. I was trained as an abstract expressionist when I was in college, and this kind of stuff I really do like. Okay, so this takes quite a while to do, and I'm doing this quickly. Normally I'm painting about, I don't know, a third of this speed.
A lot of people watching from Australia today.
Hi,
4 o'clock in the morning in Australia. What do you people, don't you have a life? Don't you sleep?
Oh,
Allie,
well,
what's going on? Barbara, I can understand you. You're just adjusting to jet lag.
Well, I popped this out to my people on social media, and I think some of them just want to see the train wreck that was my Wi-Fi problem today.
Well, that's all right. When the replay, that won't show up.
That's cool. Well, thank you again, everybody, for your patience with that. I am a newbie. the kind of painting I do does not lend itself to demos really, since I am so slow. I have a YouTube channel where you can see sped up versions of kind of 3-hour type paintings. But this is a first for me. I've never done a live stream, as you can probably tell.
Here's a question for you, since it's a
Yes.
live stream from Kathleen. When planning the composition, do you decide on a percentage of light and a percentage of dark?
Well, with this is just a little piece of a much larger puzzle. But light and dark is very important to me. With my hair, if my hair is dominant, it's going to be a pretty dark painting most of the time. I also try to incorporate different colors into what I do. So yeah, Kathleen, it's important to me, but sometimes I just got to go with what I've been given, which is the darkest hair in the world. So yeah,
I used to have really dark hair too, but something changed.
So did my husband. He also has white hair. And I will say that, Eric, your hair is the easiest hair to paint in watercolor by far.
So it looks like you just added some blue.
I did. I dropped in some cobalt. There's some cobalt over here too.
What are you thinking?
These are sort of some cool areas of the painting that this paint looks kind of dramatic right now. This blue, it's gonna sort of blend in with its neighbors and just become kind of a cool element. I'm not a big fan of like neutral colors, these colors that I'm painting with, blacks and browns. I can do them, but I don't love them. So any little chance that I can get to, you know, play around with some bright pure color like that cobalt, you know, I'm gonna do it. Okay. This gives you a basic idea of like where my darkest parts are. And again, I will let this dry completely before I do my next step. And the next step is darker midtones, okay?
All right. You're very well prepared. Thank you for going to all this trouble.
I had to draw this 6 times. I was a high school art teacher, and so this is the kind of stuff that I would demonstrate to my students all the time, because maybe we had 5 minutes to show you how to do a project, and then off we go.
Classes are short.
Very short. A 45-minute art class is ridiculously short, especially when you have, you know, 25 teenagers that you got to get organized and on task. All right. So this next part, I am just deepening some of the colors. This is kind of a spot where I go away from the painting and then I come back with fresh eyes and say, well, maybe this needs to be a little darker. This needs to be a little warmer, and I can give it another quick glaze. Some other things. There's some sort of stripy elements going on up here in the top left. Hope you can see that. And I'm just being pretty loose. I will get super tight later on. But with these early steps, you can be a little bit lazy with your colors a little bit, or just play with them some more than you might think. Because we'll go over this later on. Let's see, I kind of want this to be a little warmer. I take just some plain sepia and some yellow ochre, go over that.
Hey, ask your husband to check to see if that cellular came back on, because it's gotten fuzzy again. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you just have to turn the cellular off.
Okay. It's in airplane mode right now. What can I do? He's saying it's fuzzy again.
Well, go into settings where it says cellular and turn it off.
Okay.
I guess this is the challenge of living in a rural area, hard to get good internet.
It really is. Yeah, we've got cellular data in airplane mode right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope it catches up. Sometimes it just has to catch up.
Okay. Let's see.
All
Gotta get
right.
back to the
Hey,
camera.
let's do this. Okay.
Okay. Gotta turn it a little bit.
What kind of paper are you working on?
I am working on Strathmore 300-pound watercolor paper.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's cold press. It can take a lot of abuse and a lot of water without warping too much.
Hello, Norway. Welcome.
Hi, Norway. Wow. All right. So, like I said, we are sort of just fine-tuning some of these dark areas, getting shadows where they need to be, deepening things. But this step, if I've done the previous one pretty well, it doesn't need a whole lot. This is like a little checkup kind of step that I do. Okay. By the time that dries, it will look like this. Okay. And I've started to take the masking fluid off. Taking the masking fluid off takes me maybe a few minutes, so I wanted to spare you that.
So how do you do it? You use an eraser?
This is a rubber cement pickup that you can get sometimes with the masking fluid or buy separately. But it's just this rubbery thing. Masking fluid wants to stick to it. Sometimes I can pull it off in like a big thing like that, which is really fun. It's sort of a reward for all the rest of the painting. This is like a fun little thing I do. And to get it off, you have to be a little bit rough, a little violent with it, but not too violent because you can kind of harm the paper if you're just ripping away at it. But this is coming off nicely. Okay. And I'd like to run my hand over the surface sort of gently to see if there's anything else I need to pick up. And usually there is. Okay, but that has protected all those little highlights here and there. And this is where I get to really be a maniac about details.
Before you become a maniac, Suzanne asked, how dry does the paper have to be to not damage the painting? I assume when she's lifting up, you're lifting up the...
Yeah, I mean, I want it to be bone dry. You know, like sometimes I'll just wait until the next day to take the masking fluid off because it can sort of rip into anything that's kind of not completely dry. So that's a good question. I really do wait on that. And so you can see with these big applicators, you get kind of big rough lines. It doesn't look like hair really yet. So what I do is go in and soften some of these edges with just the paint that is already down there. I kind of reactivate it with a damp brush and smooth out some of those kind of awkward areas. And I can do this first, or I can wait a little bit later in the painting to do this. But yeah, this is where I think people who don't have a lot of patience.
That would be me.
Yeah, this is like not super fun for most people, but I don't know. I've loved this step. I just sort of call this step beautify, like just make this
You
look
get a lot of
better.
hard edges on when you're pulling up the resist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just pretty stark here. So, you know, with a little brush, some patience, and some time, you can get these lines to be a little less severe. And in other places, like in this part of the painting in the top left, some of this is in shadow anyway. So, like, I'm going to go through and just sort of go
Andreas,
over.
Andreas says, I used to cut the bottom of my 𝗪𝗶𝗶𝗶 boots to remove masking when I was young.
What? That's neat. That's so ingenious.
I don't know. Is that the rubber part of the boots or the leather part of the boots? I'm just
I
asking.
guess it's the rubber, like the sole part.
Yeah. Well, why not just stand on it and wipe your feet?
I guess you could. Normally, a painting, masking fluid is not used a ton. You know, like this is kind of the outer limits of the amount of masking fluid I want to use on anything. But it makes a good highlight, and sometimes I will paint those highlights. Sometimes, like this here sort of reminds me of the tweezer. I'll go over some of that with a little light color paint. This is like yellow ochre. And so it pops out of the darkness, but it's not pure white. Some other parts in here might need a little bit. And I'll just go through this whole thing looking for stuff like that. Like down here, that needs some yellow.
Have you ever waited too long and then the masking fluid is too stuck?
I can always get it off, but one time I waited maybe a month, and the masking fluid was, like, when I took it off, slightly discoloring the painting a little bit. The masking fluid in general, it turns kind of like a yellowish beige, and it just left a tiny bit of yellow behind, which horrified me. And like nobody else would be able to pick up on it or see it. It was just like a little tiny speck somewhere, but I was just, never again. So like within,
You put it in
say,
the
a
oven
day
and
or
melt
two.
it a little bit. That was not my question. That was from Kathleen Hooker, by the way.
Wow. Yeah,
Microwave it, soften it up.
you guys are way more avant-garde than I am with masking fluid, I guess. I think that's a cool idea. So anyway, I'll go through here and just like add color to wherever it needs it. And I'm using kind of a larger brush for me. There's some blue here. This is pretty blue as well. Yeah. So a 3x3 chunk of hair like this would be about a couple hours of work normally for me. So I've sped it up significantly. I could spend happily an afternoon working on, a little tiny square of hair like this.
Andreas, the boot guy, says that nail polish remover works to get it off if it's stuck for too long.
Wow. I don't know. I was told not to mention brands. The brand that I use has never really ever stuck to the point where I can't get it off, but I know there are a lot of different brands that people use.
I make my own masking fluid. I just melt the rubber on the bottom of my shoes.
I'm sure it would work in some way. I think masking fluid is just a great tool, but I haven't used it all my life. As a painter, I felt like I was old school, and I was too old school to depend on masking fluid. And to actually use it was like I was betraying my classical training or whatever. But I had a still life that it was just unavoidable. And it was like, by the bullet, I'm going to try it and see. And I became just a convert immediately to masking fluid and what it can do. So this is definitely a tool that I use and enjoy, kind of lean on. But I also try to disguise its use in places. I don't like a real rough edge. So that it does mean extra work, but I don't know. It's working for me. Down here, I call this volcano shape. I'm going to add a little extra paint here and there.
Lynn is asking, do liquid fluids all dry after a while? I guess they would have to dry.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, what I use is sort of like a creamy consistency. It's, but I know there are some masking fluids that are really sticky, kind of like glue almost. I think everybody's different in their masking fluid needs. This really meets my needs, this kind of thin stuff. I'm not one of those masking fluid people who do massive amounts of it, you know, layer upon layer, and like take it all off at the end in one big swoop. Yeah, I'm a little more delicate with it, so maybe that's why this particular masking fluid works for me, and maybe not for everybody, but I happen to love it. Every time I open a jar, I put the month on it, just because it can kind of go bad on me. It starts to smell bad. It starts to get a little too sticky and goopy. And that's when I know it's time to change to another bottle. I never get anything more than 2 ounces here. Okay, I'm going to continue a little more of this. This is a point in the painting where I start to just, my eyes are greedy. I just see like 400 different things I ought to be doing here, and I'm skipping around a little bit. One thing I wanted to show you is how to lift something that is maybe a little too dark, like this tweezer looking shape. There's a line underneath it that I kind of missed initially. So I'm going to paint that with some water. Okay. Sort of wake up that paint that's down there. I'm going to come in with like a little bit of paper towel and just use the end of my brush to pick that up, make a little bit of a highlight. So you're not married to all this dark paint if you don't want it. If you want a little highlight, just add some water to it. Pick it up like that. I don't like to do that a lot. Sometimes that can get overworked looking, but you know, if I'm desperate, I will definitely pick up with the end of my brush like that. Now this sort of raggedy edge here on this curl,
Yeah.
I will go in with like a small brush. I might want to turn my paint just a little bit so I'm not getting my hand in this wet stuff.
I'm going to do real quick, just for a second. I'm just going to show the curl full page.
Okay.
There, you guys can see it. Okay.
Is that the entire painting?
No, well, I just wanted to show it. Yes, I wanted to show it so they could see it.
I see. Yeah, this curl is about 1/19th, 1/20th of the whole head of hair that I painted like this. So this is where patience is a virtue. I come in every day and I just paint a little more, keep plugging away at it until all like 20 little sections like this are finished. And that to me is fun painting. It's like relaxing. I'm usually listening to an audiobook or something while I'm working, and it's sort of a cozy kind of time. Okay. Some of these like little swoopy lines coming over through the middle, I don't like how thick they are. I'm just gonna reactivate that paint some more and refine it, make it a little more narrow. Being a high school art teacher, I am used to people watching me when I paint, but it has been about 14 years since I was a high school art teacher, so this is really bringing back some memories, just working and talking, and kids asking me to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. So if anybody has to go to the bathroom, please just wait until I'm done. Yeah, so with these little step-by-step boards that I keep bringing out, I worked on this for 2 hours, just going through and refining stuff, darkening stuff, adding little details. There's seemingly no end of things that you can correct and refine. And it's hard to do with an audience and with 100,000 little technical glitches. Normally my hand, I feel like I have the hands of a surgeon. I can paint, my hand doesn't shake or move at all, but I don't know, I was nervous for this one, and I can kind of feel my hands like rebelling a little bit, like, eh.
Hey, you painted in front of high school students. That's a lot harder than painting in front of 16 million people.
Oh, hi 16 million people, yeah. Yeah, high school students are a very different audience for sure. And I appreciate everybody that's here for just being a nice little audience. And
Cheryl wants to know how big the actual painting is. It looks like it's about a 9 by 12.
This painting here is 9 by 9.
Okay.
The actual painting was 18 by 24. That's like the whole self-portrait of
Okay.
me. This is just an enlarged version of what was originally 3 inches by 3 inches, if that makes sense.
What are you going to be? You're going to be teaching on Watercolor Live. What are you going to be teaching?
I'm going to teach an entire portrait with
Ooh.
some hair like this, and it's going to be exciting. And I'm painting myself with a green light on me, and so like my skin is green, the hair is green. It's pretty wild coloring. I don't know if you saw in some of my examples, but I can get kind of out there
I love
with
it.
my colors.
I want to learn how to do that. That's so cool.
I'm really excited to show you guys this. I don't know anybody else that is really doing this kind of stuff with color.
I don't either.
To create the reference photos, I use a projector, and I projected nebulas onto myself for this series that Eric has showed you, and for this one that I'm going to do on Watercolor Live. So it's a bizarre way to work, but I think you'll have fun watching me.
That'll be fun.
So
Carl is asking, how do you get the blue tape up without taking the paper with it?
This blue tape is actually pretty good. I just sort of pull away, from the painting and sort of peel it that way. And that's a pretty good edge, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've had some bad experiences with different brands of tape. Some of them really want to cling, and they do take a little bit of like the top bit of your watercolor paper with it. Super annoying. So this tape, so far so good. I use it a lot. It's blue tape.
They do make tape just specifically for use with watercolor paper.
Oh yeah, I really haven't gotten into it actually. I just kind of use this normal painter
Well,
tape,
it's a lot
you
more
know.
expensive.
Yeah, and it works for
Duct
me.
tape would be a bad idea.
Duct tape would. What I don't like is this blue color is sort of like is so bright and obnoxious that, you know, sometimes
Well, it throws off your
it
sense of
throws me
color
off.
and throws
Yeah,
off your eyes.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, this is what I would do for 2 more hours of, you know, total entertainment for you guys. But I wanted to show you the finished product, which I hope you can see all right there. Much smoother, lots of little details in here over on like edges of curls. Maybe I've darkened different lines inside the existing shadows to really like give you some dimension. Every time I paint something, I like to have at least 3 values, like a light, a medium, and a dark. But if I'm really doing my job, I have maybe more like 5. And even in just like a little chunk of hair like this, I just think it's important, and it really makes the hair look dynamic and 3-dimensional.
Andreas is asking, do you prep the paper wet and let it dry before you begin?
Not with this paper. This is 300-pound paper, and I don't flood the way some artists do. I just kind of work in small areas, and I never have a warping problem with that. When I used 140-pound paper, yeah, it did kind of warp, and I did have to sort of fix it to the board wet first and let it dry. And it just seemed like a step that I always dreaded. And 300-pound paper, even though it's a little more expensive, it's kind of worth it because I don't have to stretch the paper at all.
Says you a step.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a beautiful piece of paper. I can't get enough of it.
Well, how about you come back on camera so everybody can see those curls in person?
Okay, we'll try. Jeff is taking it off.
All right.
This is my little painting here. You got it?
There we go.
Hi.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
well,
wish
we're
I could do
excited
the
about
whole
seeing you
head.
do one of those portraits on Watercolor Live.
Yeah, I would love it if more people would sign up for my demo and use my link. But yeah, I'm super honored to be part of Watercolor Live. This will be my first time doing it, and I'm excited to interact with you guys in the chat while my video plays. This is going to be an extravaganza.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. I just finished up Realism Live last Friday, so it was a lot of fun. Well, check into Starlink, you guys. You'll have incredible internet out in the middle of nowhere.
Starlink. Okay, yeah, we just use our rural electric cooperative.
Yeah, well, they're not doing a very good job for you.
Okay.
So to do more of this stuff, you need a better connection. Our apologies, folks, for the images. Well, thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you teaching us how to do hair.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Our guest today, Kelly Eddington, and we do apologize. There were some technical issues, and we do usually get around those, but for some reason, you know, it was good for a while, then it wasn't, and then it was, and then it wasn't, you know, such is the deal. Hey, you guys, again, we have a free gift for you. If you go to americanwatercolor.net and /ebook, Watercolor Mastery. It's a really good book, something we put together. It's an ebook. Just make sure you get it. And also just know that we have Watercolor Live coming up. Watercolor Live is a online 4-day event, 3 days if you don't get the Essentials Day. We have some of the top watercolor artists in the world, including the great 𝗣𝗶𝗶𝗁 and Thomas W. Schaller. So many other really brilliant watercolorists, and teaching a lot of different styles and approaches. And you look at this and you go, wow, I can really do this. So if you're you're really wanting to learn watercolor, you want to get to the next level. We have people that, this will be the 5th annual. We have people that have attended every single one of them. And a lot of them have been lifers doing watercolor, and they still attend because it's just been so good for them. So anyway, check that out. Also, I just want to tell you that I am doing a winter retreat. I've never done a winter retreat before. I do one in the spring and in the fall, but this one's called Winter Escape, and it's in St. Augustine, Florida, and it's in February. I decided, you know, what would I want if I lived in the Northeast or in a wintry climate in the middle of February? And I'd be like, I want to go painting in Florida where it's nice and sunny and kind of warm. So this St. Augustine is a beautiful place to paint. It's the oldest city in America. It was founded in like 600 something. It's incredible. And some of the buildings are old. The things, there's so much to paint around there. It's really going to be fun. And so join us for winterartescape.com. Okay. And thanks for tuning in today. And thanks for our producer, Christy, today. And you guys have a terrific day. Bye-bye.